Hi, this is the voice of Heidie Calero with another fascinating economic capsule on the Puerto Rico economy. Is inflation rearing its ugly head again? Well, we are not yet in the preview of what happened back in the second oil shock back in the 80s or even in the 90s, but we are still seeing this is a trend that prices are rising. Let me show you the first graph, which is the Consumer Price Index as published by the Puerto Rico Department of Labor, and which follows more or less the same methodology as in the US, but there is different family basket of goods and services in Puerto Rico as opposed to the US. The graph depicts different bars, different components of the deflator, which for 2021, in July compared to July of 2020, it's that magenta bar of 2.9% increase. So it's been increasing over the last month that we see there. And the components depict that is it motor fuel with 35% increase, that includes gasoline, as well as fuels for housing, that's the natural gas, which is used for cooking, it's 10.8%. Overall transportation with the increase in air travel has increased to 8.2%. And the other components, be it housing, 1.2%, be it food, 2% increase, entertainment, 1.7%, education, 1.6%. All these components, except for clothing, which was negative 0.4%, point to higher prices, which will affect your purchasing power. Purchasing power of the dollar right now is 82 cents. So as long as prices continue rising, that purchasing power is going to continue declining. Let's look at another indicator of inflation in Puerto Rico, and that's related to the sale of housing units. The first graph that I'm depicting here on housing units, it's new housing units, and as you can see in that graph, the bars are the number of new units in each calendar year from 2011 through 2020, and for 2021 we annualized the data from January through August and said, well, if they continue the same trend, how will it end by December of 2021? And that leads us to 1,034 units compared to 3,582 back 10 years ago. But notice that the prices have continued increasing, with the exception maybe of Hurricane Maria from 2017 through 2018. Prices have continued this upward trend, and the average price for 2021 would be somewhere in the region of $233,312, which is an increase of 13% compared to 2011, despite the fact that the number of units have declined 71%. If we are going to look only at August, in terms of the August units in new housing, the August sales were down compared with August of 2020 by almost 10%. And in terms of August of 2011, it was a decline of 57% in terms of new units, and prices continued increasing with 9%. Let's look then at the existing housing units, which is the larger of the total housing sales in Puerto Rico. And in 2011, the graph depicts here the column that we were selling 12,468 units. Compare that with, again, 2021 annualized, and it's about the same level, 12,494, a continued upward increase, creeping upwards slightly, but upwards nonetheless, from 2018 after Hurricane Maria in 2017. And we've seen prices also increase to 175,639 compared with 144,875 back in 2011. Same thing in terms of these existing units. The price has gone up 21%, yet it's almost about the same number of housing units, existing units that were sold back in 2021. And this is important in terms of whether this trend will continue, because right now interest rates are low. Chairman Powell of the Federal Reserve mentioned yesterday that he does not anticipate that interest rates are going to go up, maybe going forward to the fall of 2022. So for now, interest rates are still low, and that is good news for housing, except that prices are rising again, and there isn't that much of construction of new housing units, and prices are continued, especially construction materials continue to rise. I would like also to mention that this thing of inflation is important because the PROMESA board, which is the Fiscal Oversight Management Board, which oversees Puerto Rico, has presented, or is about to submit to the federal judge Taylor Swain in November, the new public debt adjustment agreement. And that is based on forecast of an economy that is not going to grow very much in real terms, but overall, because the inflation that they are using is based on the consumer price index, and you know how much they were forecasting for fiscal year 2022, the one that we are right now in Puerto Rico, they forecasted 1.1%. We are already, through July, we are already at 2.9%, just July. And the fiscal year is just about to start now for 2022. So again, if that inflation rate is underestimated, you can be assured that the GDP or GNP rate of real growth that they are forecasting, which was anemic to start with, it's going to be even more negative. And it is based on that platform of growth of the economy that it is basing the ability of Puerto Rico to service this public debt adjustment that is going to be submitted to the Judge Taylor Swain. So I think we have to look at this very carefully, and we would like PROMESA to really be transparent about this and to consider what are the implications of even this low inflation in Puerto Rico compared with GNP growth. And Puerto Rico Planning Board has been a little bit more aggressive in terms of inflation, and they recently forecasted that it was going to be close to 3% for this fiscal year 2022. So a disparity in terms of these forecasts, it has enormous consequences for Puerto Rico, and for you and for me, because we are taxpayers, and it is based on that the public debt that will be serviced is going to be paid for. Don't forget, those of you who like our capsule, to give us a like in YouTube and to subscribe to the Voice of Heidie Calero. Until then, stay safe. Thank you.